This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefravain series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 2. Flames. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 2.
Hi, I'm Stephen Lidster, the notorious forum hog from the Drabblecast forums. Feel free to stop by my blog for information on the upcoming podcast, clowns and bunnies and other scary things at sdlidster.wordpress.com. This will be a microcast of my short fiction and drabbles, featuring many voices from the potosphere such as Abigail Hilton, Liz Mierzewski, maybe even that Norm Sherman guy, as well as some new and talented voices who are pitching in to lend a hand. I hope to have the first episode up in a month or two, so keep an eye, or an ear, or some other sensory organ out for it. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast, after recovering from being poisoned, Silvio goes out and buys Gerard an expensive coat, hat, and boots as a thank you gift and peace offering. They combine their knowledge about the pirates, and Silvio tells Gerard how Gawain tried to kill him in the bookstore. Soon after, they sail from Manse with all 3 temple ships. Gerard attends a flagship dinner with Silvio's officers. Silvio tells him a little more about their strengths and weaknesses. He believes that Marlowe Snail is the spy among Gerard's police and wants to have Marlowe killed. Gerard objects, and Silvio agrees to have Marlowe watched instead.
Chapter 3. A Lesson in the Phonetic.
The airships of Wefravain are owned almost exclusively by the wealthiest merchants and royalty. They are too fragile to use in war, and they do not operate during winter or rough weather. Gawain, A Guide to Wefravain.
Gerard was enjoying working with his police. He'd been trained on Hollivaris to recruit and drill soldiers and sailors. His father had involved him in military work from a young age, and the process came back to him now. He felt like he knew them well enough to begin selecting officers. What was more, he felt that they liked and trusted him enough to follow him into danger. He wanted them to know how to sail, and entirely agreed with Silvio's policy that they make themselves useful aboard ship. Silvio estimated that it would take 10 days to reach the island if the wind held. They were heading into the season of the winter storms. The monster that had nearly destroyed the Fang had been an early visitor, but more would follow. The sailors would be especially nervous when they learned that Silvio planned to sail into Mance's outer islands, an exposed region with heavier seas. Gerard soon realized that not even Farrell knew where they were going, certainly not Basil or Arundel. Every 2 or 3 days, Silvio would have them to dine aboard the Fang. Gerard noticed that while Silvio did a lot of joking and improbable storytelling, he also did a lot of listening, especially when they'd had too much to drink. He never told Basil or Arundel what he was thinking, and rarely Farrell. Gerard was certain that Silvio knew far more about every one of them than they knew about him. Although Silvio never visited the Dark Wind, he did visit the Sea Feather. Gerard doubted that Arundel gave Silvio an accurate idea of its state, and Silvio wanted to see for himself.
Well, it's not the happiest ship in the world,
Gerard heard him say to Farrell, after returning from one such visit.
But I don't think we'll have a mutiny, and they can certainly chase a prize.
Silvio had not replaced his coxswain, and Gerard was unofficially filling the position, as well as the position that would have been called ship's scout on any other vessel. The scout was the person who flew with a griffin or Pegasus to investigate the surrounding area. But since Silvio didn't usually sail with griffins or Pegasus, the Fang didn't have one. Neither did the Darkwind. The Sea Feather did have a ship scout, a thin, Grishnard teenager with a perpetually nervous juvenile griffin. They were inexperienced and untrained, and Alcere showed them nothing but contempt.
Did the watch have griffins before Silvio came?
Gerard asked Farrell. Farrell nodded.
About 10. Some of them quite good. Silvio got rid of them or chased them off. He taught Basil and me to use navigation instruments. We're both competent. Basil is better than I, but neither of us is as good as Silvio. Arundel doesn't care to learn, and Silvio doesn't seem anxious to teach him. So he's kept some kind of scout since he came. They don't seem to last long, though. Always running away. The Sea Feather is not a happy ship.
They were 5 days out of Manse when Silvio caught Gerard on the deck with the book Gerard had purchased on the phonetic. Silvio plucked the book from his hands, flipped through it, and sneered.
You know, don't you, that this is calculated to discourage learning?
I've noticed, but it's what I have.
I told you I have a couple of books.
Gerard vaguely remembered the conversation. He had an idea that Silvio had been threatening him at the time, and Gerard hadn't taken his offer very seriously. Silvio waved a hand.
My books are marginally better than this, but not by much. A merchant can get in trouble for selling anything on the phonetic. I'll just teach you. It's not difficult.
Then he saw something that he didn't like in the rigging and went off to yell at someone about it. Gerard went to Silvio's cabin later that evening, after dinner. He knocked on the door, but got no answer. He knocked harder, but, when that produced no results, he just walked in. He'd been doing that lately, and Silvio hadn't tried to stop him. Gerard had an idea that if Silvio really wanted to keep him out, he'd either put a guard on the door or lock it. The door to the inner office was closed as well, and again Gerard knocked. He heard Silvio call,
"Come in,"
and stepped inside. The Admiral was flicking knives at a mobile he'd set up on the far side of the room. It was composed of a number of colored leather balls of different sizes, made to rotate on several levels. The sea was calm today, but the natural motion of the ship still caused the mobile to rotate in dizzy patterns. Silvio had a handful of knives in one hand, and was going through them very fast, muttering under his breath after each throw. Gerard realized that he was naming the color of the ball he intended to hit. He got them, all but one. It was an impressive display, and Gerard said so. Silvio growled something about the one he'd missed, and crossed the room to remove them from his mobile. He had shut the doors of the bookcase behind, and Gerard saw that they were scratched and dented, probably from years of target practice.
Did the priestess teach you to throw knives like that?
Silvio laughed.
Not her. Not likely. That was Malpin.
Gerard waited, but Silvio didn't say anything else. He replaced his knives carefully in a drawer, and then pulled down a scrap of sailcloth, cheaper than writing paper, and a charcoal pencil.
Sit,
he commanded, and Gerard sat down at the table. Silvio stood beside him and started scribbling phonetic characters. It was a good thing that Gerard was a quick learner, because Silvio was not a patient teacher. He expected to make each point once and only once. He explained everything clearly, but he seemed to regard any repetition as a waste of words.
No wonder Farrell and Basil didn't become more than competent with their navigation instruments.
About halfway down the list of characters, Gerard asked,
Who was Malpin?
He said it as much to stop Silvio firing words at him as because he wanted to know. Silvio paused.
I'll tell you after you've memorized this alphabet and examples for each sound. There, I've written them for you. You don't even need me. Go on, go memorize.
Gerard took the paper and returned to his room. He had the list memorized by dinner time. He ate with Silvio, Farrell, and several of Farrell's captains. However, he would have felt awkward reciting the list in front of the others, like a child reciting his lessons, and Silvio didn't mention it. When Gerard tried to visit Silvio's cabin afterward, he found the door locked. Chapter 4. Malpin.
The Firebird is the old deity of Wefravain, and perhaps of all Panamindorah. He appears to have been a benign deity, requiring from his worshippers a balance of mercy and justice. These two attributes were symbolized by the feather and the flame. Gawain, the truth about wyverns.
It wasn't until afternoon of the next day that Gerard managed to catch Silvio in his office again. They were sailing now in well-charted waters. The weather was fine, and there wasn't a lot to do. Silvio was throwing knives at his mobile, somewhat viciously, Gerard thought. Gerard came in and watched him for a moment.
You don't have to tell me.
Silvio didn't look at him.
Of course I don't have to tell you. What exactly am I not telling you?
Who Malpin is?
Silvio threw another knife. Gerard looked at the ceiling. He recited the phonetic alphabet, making only one mistake, which Silvio corrected with evident satisfaction.
So I made a mistake. So you don't have to tell me.
Silvio scowled at him, as though he thought that Gerard might have made the mistake on purpose, which, in fact, he had.
I have learned how to say no, Gerard.
Silvio's voice was heavy with sarcasm.
I don't have to do anything.
What happened to no choices?
Silvio went back to throwing knives.
Customer came into our place one day, asked who was everybody's favorite trick. Marginally, that was me. He put down a dozen speckled cowries and said that no one was to disturb us. I was terrified. The master probably would have let him kill me at that price. He was a smallish Grishnard, wiry little Magian. He shut the door of our room, made himself comfortable on the bed, and took out a book from his bag. First time I ever saw someone read for pleasure. He didn't say anything to me. After a while, I crawled up on the bed and asked if he wanted anything. If he complained, the master would punish me. He said, "Rest. You're safe." I curled up in the crook of his arm and went to sleep. He let me stay there all night and read his book.
Silvio shook his head.
No one had ever done anything like that for me. He came back several times, always the same thing. I'm not sure when I figured out he was an assassin. The smells on him, maybe. Things I knew were poison, sometimes blood, perfume, strange smells. He had a funny little bag with hidden pockets. He let me look through it once. Lots of sharp things and vials. I wanted to be just like him.
Why was he kind to you?
Asked Gerard, with real curiosity. Silvio gave him a thin smile.
Malpin had an odd sense of, well, I guess you'd call it honor. Much later, I found out whenever he killed someone or crippled them or hurt them, he had this rule that he had to perform an unexpected act of kindness. It was how he purged the nightmares.
So every time you saw him, he just killed someone?
Probably. He was a secretive person, very soft-spoken, very polite. Later, when the priestess set me loose, I found him. We worked together on and off until I was 16, and then he disappeared. I looked for him for years, but I'm sure he's dead. If you think my behaviors are risky, they're nothing to his.
He shook a knife at Gerard.
There were a number of Shelts who would have liked to see him dead. Most of them were Shelts he let go when he shouldn't have.
So that's where you got that rule.
Acts of mercy always come back to haunt you. I tried to tell him that.
Gerard was fascinated.
So you would describe him as a merciful person?
Silvio laughed.
You're asking me whether he was nice? No, he wasn't. I mean, he would have killed anyone for the right price, but he never killed in anger or for revenge, and he liked to kill neatly, no extra victims. He was good at his job. He taught me a lot of things, including how to throw knives, although most of that is just practice. It's like you said, you can learn to throw a knife by yourself if you have enough time on your hands.
Silvio flicked another knife at the mobile.
He liked girls, thank the gods. I felt almost safe with him. I wasn't an easy kid to work with, though. Smart, mean, and angry.
Well, it's a good thing you've gotten over that.
Silvio grinned.
Sarcasm does not suit you, Gerard. I have mellowed a lot. While you were learning to rule an island, I was running around Wefravain learning how to kill shelts and trying to catch up on all the things I should have been learning before. I worked on a hunty slaver, figured out the basics of sailing there. Being an assassin is 99% waiting and 1% terror. I was amazingly ignorant of politics. Morchella sent me in to kill some fairly important shelts, whom I should have known something about, but I didn't. I was lucky to survive my first year. I doubt I would have survived my second if I hadn't tracked down Malpin. He taught me what I needed to know. He never hit me, even when I deserved it.
Silvio paused.
He didn't like the priestess, didn't like me working for her. It was something we never agreed on.
Gerard felt an uncomfortable suspicion, like a brick in the pit of his stomach.
You don't think she...
Silvio shook his head.
I asked her once. She said she didn't.
He took a deep breath.
Malpin did a lot of dangerous things. He disappeared one day. I'm sure I will too.
Chapter 5. 2 pirate ships and an island.
The foxlings of Wefravain were once at least 3 distinct species: the red, the gray, and the white or silver. As has been stated, the red and gray seem to have lived on Meja Manger for a long time. The white foxlings are more of a mystery. They do not appear in old records, and there is some evidence that they were imported from the frigid lands to the distant north, probably for their fur. They have denser coats than their red and gray cousins. Their tails are often longer and fluffier than those of other foxlings, serving as a second layer when wrapped round their bodies. Gwaine, the non-Grishnards of Wefravain.
Over the next few days, Gerard read Gwaine's book. It was not long, but at the beginning he had to sound out every word. He noticed that the book said very little about diving spiders, but it did have a section on winged wolves. He was also interested in what the book had to say about foxlings.
Gwaine wrote,
he told Silvio,
that they hunt foxlings sometimes in Meja Minor. Illegally, of course.
Silvio scowled.
Yes, and...
Is that why you don't want to go?
Well, as much as I like hats, I'm not anxious to end as one.
He smiled.
Although, there's a certain attractive irony in that. I suppose there are worse things to end as.
I'm serious, Silvio.
You're right. There's probably not enough of me. A pair of mittens, perhaps.
Silvio!
Gerard, I have willingly gone into situations much more dangerous than that of a foxling on Meja Minor. I don't want to go because I think it's a dangerous waste of time, but I'll sail you there if you're determined to pry. It is a place for Grishnards, that's true, not for foxlings, and I'm not even sure they allow griffins. The size of the hunting parties are limited. The idea is real hunting, with something approaching a fair fight.
His voice was heavy with contempt.
It's not, but it's a lot more dangerous than any hunting you've ever done.
I've never hunted shelts. And your next line is, then where did Alsair learn to?
But Silvio didn't say it.
I have, but I never had the gall to pretend it was fair. I worked very hard to make sure it wasn't.
Next morning, Gerard woke to find Alsair had already gone out, and the ship had the smooth, steady creak of speed. He found Silvio on the quarterdeck, looking excited and restless.
Are we chasing something?
Asked Gerard, although he saw no sign of another ship. He didn't see the Sea Feather either, and the Darkwind was well astern.
More or less. At dawn, there was a ship to our east, and I'm all but positive she was the Water Sprite, a known pirate ship. She was small and quick, and she had the weather gauge. The Sea Feather might be able to catch her, so I sent Arundel to chase. We're almost out of the lee of Mance. I think that ship has been waiting for us. She'll send messages to whoever is on Mance 94 so that they can set their trap. She'll lead us a little chase and take us there, just in case we didn't correctly identify the island. I don't intend to give them any preparation time. We're going straight to Mance 94 while Arundel chases the Water Sprite. The Dark Wind will fall behind a bit, but they'll catch up. I borrowed your griffin to convey some of this. I could do it with flags, but...
But Alsair is so much easier. This is why normal shelts sail with griffins, Silvio.
I told Basil to circle around the inner side of the island while I take the outer. I don't want any surprise pirate ships popping out of the hidden coves. Between the two of us, we've got more swords than any 3 pirate ships I'm aware of, and Arendelle will show up eventually. If there are too many of them, we'll wait for them, but I doubt it will come to that.
What if you don't find any ships at all? Will you go ashore?
Silvio frowned.
That would be your job, wouldn't it?
Gerard thought about his new police. He had about 30 of them now.
All right.
Silvio grimaced.
I suppose I'll come with you. Make sure you don't drink any poisoned tea or recruit any assassins, or leave anything alive.
Have you ever tried to talk to any of them?
The Resistance? On the point of a sword, yes. If you mean parley with them, no. I told you, they're not organized enough for that to be meaningful. You could make an agreement with one, and 20 others would break it.
He paused.
I've actually rubbed shoulders with them more than you would think before I joined the Watch. Marcella sent me after Grishnards, mostly. I killed more of your kind than of theirs.
Then you know some of them.
Silvio shrugged.
Know of. Gawain, not so much. He started showing up mostly after I joined the Watch.
Will you object if I try to talk to them?
Silvio scowled.
You're going to do what you're going to do no matter what I say.
But you can get in my way. You can make everything harder. I'd rather have you on my side.
Silvio threw up his hands.
I am. Gerard, they're not honorable, especially the Zeds. They don't think they need to keep promises made to Panons. They'd chew you up and spit you out. Now I need to talk to Pharrell about where we're going.
He went off muttering under his breath. Alsair returned to the Fang about noon. As Gerard had suspected, he'd been following the water sprite, well out of arrow range, of course. He had gotten close enough to see details, positively confirming the identity of the ship, which pleased Silvio.
I think she is just leading them a chase,
Alsair said to Gerard.
I think she could go faster and get away.
A little after noon, another ship sailed out from behind Manse 56 ahead of them. Silvio suspected immediately that it was a pirate, and Alsair flew up to confirm the details.
I don't know her,
said Silvio.
But she's the kind of ship they like. Small, fast, low draft.
The Defiance?
Gerard wondered aloud. Gawain's ship had not appeared on Silvio's pirate registry. Silvio shrugged.
Might as well call her that.
She had conveniently appeared upwind of them, and she stayed there, maintaining the distance. Silvio refused to chase her, although that was clearly what she wanted. The dark wind was now far behind, and as the sun set, Gerard lost sight of her. The night was clear. Silvio had no difficulty navigating by stars, and both red and yellow moon gave good light. He did not slacken the Fang's pace as they sailed on. They had been tacking into the wind for days, but now that they were heading out of the crescent, the wind had become stronger. The waves grew higher and rougher. Gerard could sense the uneasiness of the sailors. Outer waters were poor sailing and bad luck, and winter was coming. The other ship remained clearly visible to their right. Alsair went up and circled her several times.
She's definitely holding back,
he said.
She could go faster.
The fourth time, he got a little too close. Gerard knew something was wrong as soon as Alsair hit the deck. He didn't land properly, and he was limping.
Arrow?
Gerard asked as he approached. Alsair nodded.
Someone on that ship is a good archer. I was barely in range.
Gerard clicked his tongue. The arrow was in the back of Alsair's right foreleg. Silvio came striding over while Gerard was easing it out.
I told you to stop going over there,
he snapped at Alsair. Alsair hissed.
I've been running your errands all day, Admiral. I don't need griffins. You don't own me, and I can amuse myself as I please.
Silvio took the arrow from Gerard. He sniffed it.
Does getting poisoned amuse you?
Gerard looked alarmed.
What is it?
Black tang.
I've had that one,
said Alsair with a hint of smugness. The royal griffins of Holovaras were expected to participate in war, and they were exposed to common arrow poisons in small doses to produce immunity.
It's been over a year, though. Go lie down in my cabin.
Gerard, I'm fine.
I said go lie down. No more flying this evening. The last thing I need is you dropping into the sea.
Alcere went, grumbling. Silvio watched him go.
Temperamental, unpredictable, and frequently insubordinate, and you wonder why I don't use griffins.
That and you're deeply afraid of them. They don't always get treated as well as they should. It makes them bitter.
Not getting their way makes them bitter. Not getting to make sport of anything small and furry on a daily basis makes them bitter. They're practically cats.
So am I. So is Thess.
But Gerard didn't say anything. About midnight, the other ship pulled away suddenly and disappeared around a numerary. Clouds rolled in from the west, but Silvio didn't think the air smelled like a storm. A light rain began to fall. Just before dawn, they sighted the island. It appeared suddenly out of the rain ahead, and Silvio cursed.
Closer than the map said. The outer islands were never well mapped.
The Fang stood off and on until dawn. Alcere had been mildly ill that night, but by morning he said he felt well and flew out to have a look at the reef. Between Alcere's observations and Silvio's soundings, they decided that it was safe to come a little closer as they began to circle the island. They encountered a sharp jetty as they traced the westward side, and when they rounded it, there stood the Defiance. The pirate had clearly been lying in wait. A small fire ship had been sent ahead, empty of shelts and piled high with kindling. It was coming towards the Fang at a good clip, pushed by a strong wind. Flames billowed up the sides, licking up the mast and threatening its small sail. The Defiance was already a little upwind of the Fang, and now she moved to better her advantage, while angling to close the distance between the two ships. Gerard realized at once that he should have been a better scout and gone ahead. Silvio wasn't used to having griffins aboard and hadn't thought of it, but Gerard should have. Silvio began shouting orders to prepare for boarding. He gestured at the fire ship and told Gerard and Alcere to
go do something about that.
Moments later, Gerard was in the air, the light rain stinging his eyes as Alcere picked up speed. They reached the fire ship, and Gerard managed to drop a noose that caught on its prow. However, they were in a bad place, between the Fang and the rapidly closing Defiance.
At this rate, she'll overbear the Fang. Take the wind right out of our sails and close at her leisure.
Gerard felt an arrow stir the air near his shoulder, and he remembered what Alcere had said.
Someone on that ship is a good archer, and I'm not immune to black tang.
He looked up. He was close enough, with his sharp, Grishnard eyes, to pick out figures on the deck.
There.
A Celt with a longbow, a Zed, his black and white stripes clearly visible against the dark, wet wood. And beside him, Gerard squinted at the other Celt. In the roll of a wave, his head turned, and the watery light reflected off his lenses.
Hello, Flag.
Alcere was working hard to tug the fireboat out of the way of the Fang. The flames were spitting and popping in the rain, but they'd been well fed, and they weren't going out. A properly equipped Griffin warship would have had large rocks for scouts to drop on fire ships and sink them. Alcere hissed suddenly and dropped a little in the air.
Where is it?
Asked Gerard at once.
Right shoulder.
The arrow was in the lower portion of his flight muscle. An excellent shot, especially from that distance and in the rain. Gerard didn't dare pull it out with Alcere in flight. He needed to line it up and ease it out in order to do less damage to the muscle. Alcere could fly like this for a long time, but every moment in the air would increase the time it would take him to heal. Gerard looked back at the Fang. Silvio had set the rowers to work, and they were backing water at a considerable pace. He'd also reset the sails nearly full to the wind. This would send the Fang away from the Defiance at speed, but it would also take the ship perilously close to the jetty in her attempt to avoid being trapped between the Defiance and a leeward shore. Silvio and Alcere had both thought that this side of the island had deep water and not much of a reef.
Oh, let's hope you're right.
The fire ship was no longer in imminent danger of running into the Fang. Gerard let it go gratefully, and they shot away. The Defiance was already well out of arrow range, and Alcera stayed well away from it as he circled back to the Fang. Just as they dropped down on deck, Gerard felt the ship shudder.
Reef. If we ground now, they will eat us alive.
At that moment, another ship sailed from behind the jetty. It was the Water Sprite. There was no sign of the Sea Feather. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations, and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
Chris Lester,
as Gwaine,
Ryan Stevenson,
as Alcere,
J. Daniel Sawyer,
as Basil,
Terry Mixon,
as Pharrell. Sound effects for this podcast were generously provided by SoundSnap and the Free Sound Project. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Monsters, also by Beth Quist, both licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 2 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. For details, please see the show.
This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby with a few comments on the story. First of all, I think that Stephen Lidster's website is still up. At least when I googled it just now. Clowns and bunnies and other scary things seem to be still an active website in the sense that it exists, but it doesn't look like it's been updated since about 2010. But anyway, this is a fun chapter. It's an action chapter. I'm still happy with the way I wrote the nautical maneuvering here. It definitely owes something to Patrick O'Brien. And I'm happy where I left the cliffhanger. I did want to say that if you have enjoyed the rest of the story, if this is your second time through this saga, I would like to point out that Anaru is the person who is shooting the arrows that have hit Alcere a couple of times. That's a character that you will not meet until... I don't think you meet her until the Scarlet Albatross, although there is a short story about her that I might have put in earlier. I'm not sure. But anyway, she's a character that you will not actually meet until the Scarlet Albatross, but she is present during this scene. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. I hope you are enjoying the story, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber. Licensed from Magnatune.net, circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Weffervane saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010. All rights are reserved to the author.